The world is at a crossroads. We are witnessing a pivotal moment in history, where the established norms and power structures are being questioned and redefined. This transition is not just a shift in political power but a comprehensive transformation that touches every aspect of our global society. The international order, largely shaped by the West after World War II, is undergoing a profound transformation. The institutions and alliances that were formed in the aftermath of the war have long dictated the rules of global engagement. However, these structures are now being challenged by emerging powers and shifting alliances. The unipolar moment, marked by American dominance, is fading. The era where the United States held unparalleled influence over global affairs is coming to an end. This decline is not abrupt, but a gradual process influenced by various internal and external factors. This shift is driven by multiple forces, including the rise of new powers, the resurgence of nationalism, and the diffusion of power from established centers to the peripheries. Countries like China, India, and Brazil are asserting their influence, demanding a more significant role in global governance. As the global landscape evolves, understanding the dynamics of this transition is crucial for navigating the complexities of the 21st century. Diplomats, policymakers, and global leaders must adapt to these changes to maintain stability and foster cooperation. For decades, the United States has been the preeminent global power. Its influence extended beyond military might to economic dominance, cultural impact, and technological innovation. The American dream was not just a national ethos but a global aspiration. Its economic might, military superiority, and influence over international institutions have shaped the world order. The Bretton Woods system, NATO, and the United Nations are just a few examples of how American leadership has structured global interactions. However, this dominance is being challenged. Economic crises, political polarization, and military overreach have contributed to a perception of American decline. This has emboldened other nations to step up and fill the void. The rise of new economic giants, particularly China, is reshaping the global balance of power. China's Belt and Road Initiative, technological advancements, and growing military capabilities are redefining its role on the world stage. This shift is not merely economic. It extends to the political, technological, and cultural spheres. The influence of these emerging powers is being felt in international organizations, trade agreements, and even in the cultural exchanges that shape public perception. The implications of this transition are far-reaching. It affects global trade, investment flows, and the strategic calculations of nations. The rules of engagement are being rewritten, and the outcomes are uncertain. It impacts everything from global trade and investment to security and diplomacy. The interconnectedness of our world means that changes in one region can have ripple effects across the globe. The rules-based order, established and upheld by the West, is being questioned and in some cases disregarded. This has led to a more fragmented and multipolar world, where power is more diffused and contested. This creates both challenges and opportunities for nations and individuals alike. While some see this as a decline of the old order, others view it as an opportunity to create a more inclusive and equitable global system. Understanding this changing landscape requires a nuanced perspective. It demands a willingness to engage with new ideas and to recognize the legitimacy of different viewpoints. It necessitates moving beyond simplistic narratives of decline and fall. History shows us that the rise and fall of powers are complex processes influenced by a myriad of factors. The future is not predetermined. It is a canvas waiting to be painted by the actions and decisions of today. The choices we make now will shape the world for generations to come. It will be shaped by the choices made by states, institutions, and individuals. The collaboration and conflict, the agreements and disagreements, all contribute to the evolving narrative of our world. This is a time of both uncertainty and possibility, a period ripe for reshaping the world order and forging a new path for international relations. The journey ahead is fraught with challenges, but it also holds the promise of a brighter, more inclusive future for all. The most significant development in international relations today is the rise of new global powers. This shift is not just a fleeting trend but a profound transformation that is reshaping the very fabric of global politics and economics. Chief among them is China, which has experienced an unprecedented economic transformation over the past 4 decades. From a largely agrarian society, China has emerged as the world's second-largest economy, driven by rapid industrialization, technological advancements, and a massive export-oriented strategy. China's rise is reshaping the global economic landscape, challenging the West's long-standing dominance. Its Belt and Road Initiative, for instance, aims to create a vast network of trade routes linking Asia, Europe, and Africa, further cementing its influence. Alongside China, other nations are asserting themselves on the world stage. The BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, are increasingly coordinating their efforts to create a more balanced global order. India, with its burgeoning economy and youthful population, is poised to become a major player in the 21st century. Its tech industry is booming, and its demographic dividend offers a unique advantage in terms of labor force and innovation potential. Russia, despite its economic challenges, remains a formidable military power and exerts significant influence in its neighborhood and beyond. Its strategic maneuvers in regions like Eastern Europe and the Middle East demonstrate its ongoing geopolitical clout. This rise of new powers is not merely about economic growth, it is also about influence, ambition, and the desire to shape the world order. These nations are leveraging their economic might to gain political and strategic advantages. It is also about influence, ambition, and the desire to shape the world order. These emerging powers are no longer content with being passive participants in global affairs. They seek to actively shape policies and norms. These emerging powers are no longer content with being rule takers. They are increasingly becoming rule makers, seeking to assert their interests and values on the global stage. This shift is evident in various international forums, where these nations are pushing for reforms and greater representation. They are increasingly becoming rule makers, seeking to assert their interests and values on the global stage. This is not just about economic policies, but also about cultural and ideological influence as these nations promote their own models of governance and development. This shift in power dynamics is creating a more multipolar world. Unlike the unipolar world dominated by a single superpower, a multipolar world features multiple centers of power, each with its own sphere of influence. This means a world where power is distributed among multiple centers, rather than concentrated in the hands of a single hegemon. This distribution of power can lead to more diverse and inclusive decision-making processes on the global stage. This multipolarity has the potential to lead to a more balanced and equitable world order. With multiple nations having a say, there is a greater chance for fairer policies and practices that benefit a wider range of countries. However, it also brings with it new challenges, including the potential for increased competition, rivalry, and even conflict. The balance of power is delicate, and the ambitions of these rising nations could lead to tensions and confrontations. Navigating this new landscape will require diplomacy, cooperation, and a commitment to peaceful coexistence. The rise of new players on the global stage is a complex phenomenon, but it also offers opportunities for a more dynamic and interconnected world. The rise of a multipolar world has profound implications for international institutions. Organizations like the United Nations, designed in the aftermath of World War II, were largely shaped by the victors of that conflict. These institutions, while playing a crucial role in maintaining peace and stability, have often reflected the interests and priorities of the West. With the emergence of new powers, there are growing calls for reform. These calls stem from a desire for greater representation, a more equitable distribution of power, and a system that is more responsive to the concerns of the developing world. China, in particular, has been increasingly vocal in its demands for a greater role in international institutions. This push for reform is met with resistance from some quarters. There are concerns that reforming these institutions could weaken them or make them less effective. Others argue that the existing system, while imperfect, has served the world well and should not be tampered with. The challenge, then, is to find a way to reform these institutions to make them more inclusive and representative, while preserving their core functions and principles. This will require dialogue, compromise, and a willingness to adapt to the changing realities of a multipolar world. China's rise is arguably the most consequential geopolitical development of the 21st century. Over the past few decades, the nation has undergone a transformation that has reshaped the global landscape. Its economic transformation has been nothing short of remarkable, lifting millions out of poverty and propelling China to become the world's second-largest economy. This rapid growth has been driven by a combination of state-led initiatives, market reforms, and an industrious workforce. This economic might is now translating into growing political and military influence. China's leadership is leveraging its newfound wealth to expand its influence on the global stage, seeking to reshape international norms and institutions in its favor. China's ambitious Belt and Road Initiative exemplifies its global aspirations. Launched in 2013, the BRI aims to enhance global trade and stimulate economic growth across Asia and beyond by developing trade routes reminiscent of the ancient Silk Road. This massive infrastructure project, spanning continents and involving billions of dollars in investment, aims to connect China to markets and resources around the world. Through the BRI, China is building roads, railways, ports, and energy projects in over 60 countries, creating a vast network of economic partnerships. The BRI is seen by many as a bold attempt to reshape the global economic order, with China at its center. Critics, however, argue that it is a strategic move to increase China's political leverage and create dependencies among participating nations. China's military modernization is another area of concern for the West. The country has been investing heavily in modernizing its armed forces, developing advanced technologies, and expanding its military capabilities. Its growing naval capabilities in particular are seen as a challenge to U.S. dominance in the Asia-Pacific region. The Chinese Navy has been rapidly expanding, with new aircraft carriers, submarines, and advanced warships entering service. This has led to increased tensions in the South China Sea, where China has asserted territorial claims that are disputed by its neighbors. The region has become a flashpoint for potential conflict, with frequent naval standoffs and military exercises. China's rise presents both opportunities and challenges for the world. On the economic front, its growth has created new markets for goods and services, offering opportunities for businesses and investors globally. On the one hand, its economic growth has lifted millions out of poverty and created new markets for goods and services. The burgeoning middle class in China is now a significant consumer base for international brands. On the other hand, its growing assertiveness and military buildup are raising concerns about its intentions. The international community is wary of China's strategic ambitions and its potential to disrupt the existing global order. Managing this complex relationship will be one of the defining challenges of the 21st century. Balancing cooperation and competition with China will require nuanced diplomacy, strategic foresight, and a deep understanding of the shifting geopolitical landscape. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to our channel, Express EconGeoFinance Insights. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment below,